Welcome back to the 30th episode of the Pin Pals podcast. I'm your host, Eric, aka Warrior Pins. What's going on? Thanks for joining me. Today's episode features Ursa Major Supply, a pin shop run by Victor Maris. We have a great conversation. We talk about how Victor started his pin shop, where he finds his inspiration, how he keeps motivated, the importance of running a successful Kickstarter campaign, hacking Instagram stories for better engagement, and so much more. It's a jam-packed episode, so get those notepads out, get ready to take some notes, and get ready for some good old-fashioned fun. I think you can hear the funness in this conversation. Now, before we get into that, I want to thank you, the listener, for tuning in. Like I said, it is our 30th episode. Would never thought that I'd be here at this point with 30 episodes under my belt. I think it's safe to say that I would not be here if it wasn't for you, so thank you. I want to give an even bigger thanks, if that's possible, to my Buy Me a Coffee supporters. Ooh, almost ran out of breath. Y'all are not only helping me keep the podcast lights on and running, but you're helping me build and foster a community of pin makers and creatives. And that's just awesome. That is incredible. Never did I think that this would ever come from, getting into the pin game. So thank you. This is so cool. Everyone, if I could buy you shots or a drink, or I guess I'll have to go around and buy pins to say thank you. Just appreciate all the support and all the kind words and just being you. All for one and one for all. If you care to show your support for the podcast, you can do so in a number of ways. You can visit our Buy Me a Coffee page. It's like Patreon, but better. You can either tip me, aka buy me a coffee, or you can subscribe to one of our monthly tiers for some more fun. You get access to our Discord server, a weekly email, and all that good stuff. The link will be in the show notes. If that's not your thing, but you still have a few seconds to spare, you can go ahead, hop on over to Apple Podcasts, rate the podcast 5 stars, maybe leave a review telling me your favorite part of the show. That would be awesome. You can leave comments, you can like, and you subscribe to the video and the channel via YouTube. That would be cool. We're creeping up on 80 subscribers, I believe. So if we can make it to 100 by the end of season 3, that would be incredible. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following and sharing the podcast. All that stuff goes a long way, and it only takes a few seconds, and it costs you nothing. But it helps me tremendously. So if you can, much appreciated. Lastly, if you're on the fence about getting pins made because it's either too expensive, too complicated, or you really don't have a clue on where to begin, contact my friends over at Your Stuff Made. I am telling you, it is an easy process, and you won't be disappointed by the end product. Go to yourstuffmade.com, and when you're filling out the quote, let them know that the Pin Pals podcast sent you. That'll get you 10% off your orders. Yes, that is 10%. And with this inflation still going crazy, and with talks about us hitting a recession, 10% can go a long way. So let them know that the podcast sent you. And they do more than just pins too. If you're looking to get stickers made, if you're looking to get socks made, hats made, shirts made, whatever the case might be, Your Stuff Made has your back. They know all about making products, and they'll do it. They know all about making products, and they do it with such pride. They're just an awesome company to work with. I actually had a bunch of pins made up by them. Definitely will be making more with them. So if you're in the market for some custom pins, go to yourstuffmade.com and let them know the Pin Pals podcast sent you. Now, without further ado, let's get into the 30th episode of the Pin Pals podcast. Enjoy my conversation with my pin pal, Ursa Major Supply. And remember, it's the little things in life. Welcome to Pin Pals, Victor. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. I'm really excited to be on an episode in season 3 because I'm a big Pin Pals fan. So thank you for having me.
Hey, I appreciate that. Season 3, hopefully by the time this is out and people are listening to it, is rolling along, as they say. And, the road to a million what? I don't know. Subscribers, downloads, listens, pins. We'll figure that out.
We'll get there.
Thank you for being here. I know that you're on the opposite side of the country, almost at like the tippy top. I think Modesto's in like Northern California.
It's in the it's considered Northern California, but it's like more or less in the middle of California.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
close enough. I got the opposite side of the country part right.
I mean, you just know it's on the other side
Yeah.
from where you are. So
We're recording this pretty early. For me, it's like the afternoon, but for you, it's the morning. Just to kind of
Yep.
paint the picture, paint the landscape. I'm feeling super refreshed. This is the first episode that I'm doing that is this early. Typically, I'll shoot them, film them, record them, whatever, after work. So
Nice.
it's just like you got like the day is already weighing on you, and then you got to like do the pins. But it's been great. I keep getting motivated and inspired with all these conversations, and I have a feeling our convo is going to be no different.
I mean, I hope so. Hopefully, I don't get too nervous. Mess
Nah,
up.
you'll be fine. You'll be great. You're already doing great.
Thanks, man.
So, in your own words, why don't you tell the listeners and the viewers who you are and a little bit about your pin company, Ursa Major Supply?
You got it. So, my name is Victor, and I run a brand called Ursa Major Supply, based out of Modesto, like you said. And the easiest way I could put it is Ursa Major Supply is my outlet where I release fan art in the form of pins, patches, sometimes apparel, based on things that I love. Movies, video games. Sometimes I'll release some original art, and it's just been a fun ride, man. It's mostly pins, as you're probably aware, and I've been doing it since 2017. So, and it's been going strong.
Quite a while. I would
Yeah.
imagine things have changed quite drastically from 2017.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of growth, and then all of a sudden, you would think that 2020 would be the year where things started to go downhill a little bit, but it was. I feel in 2021, things started to slow down a little bit for my business. I don't know if it's just because the world is opening back up. People are no longer stuck at home on Instagram all day looking at, ads and stuff. Maybe they're spending money on traveling once again and, going out. So 2021 was a little rough, but I'm hoping 2022 things pick back up. I have a lot of plans, to get back in the swing of things,
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. I don't know. For me, I kind of just like tuned myself out of the world. Not out of the world. Like I was here, I was still present, but like, pins like in the beginning of the pandemic didn't seem like that important. It was just kind of like
Exactly.
trying to figure out if like how to survive, how to stay alive, how not to get the Rona and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, the pins kind of took like I took a step back and it took a while for me to kind of like feel right about trying to like push a brand and work on a brand just because it felt like more pressing things, were happening. And so I saw like actually 2021 being a little bit better for me. But I think there are other factors too. I think, we'll get into it too, but I think when a brand releases product in volume, that tends to help spur bigger orders and more customers coming through and stuff like that. So I really tried to focus on like releasing more stuff in 2021. And I think that was able to help combat that. But to get to your original point, I've read a bunch of articles. You're prepping for Black Friday. You're trying to keep aware of like all like the e-commerce trends and stuff like that. And they're saying, hey, the world's opening back up, so they're not, buying stuff online anymore. And it's just like, it's just crazy, like the ups and downs, the good and bad that this pandemic has brought. But yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy, and I'm with you on that. In the beginning of the pandemic, it felt weird to be like, yo, like I know a lot of people are not working right now, but check out this Star Wars pin I got, like link in the bio. It's like it felt a little wrong, near the beginning.
Yeah, it definitely did. I think it just like took a while. I think I started getting like the gears back rolling come like the Black Friday and like Cyber Monday like weekend and stuff like that. And I think that was actually my best year in terms of like sales and stuff like that. I think 2020 was was like the year. I guess after everyone came to terms with, what the reality was, then we just saw like a huge spike in e-commerce. I did marketing for another company during that weekend, and their sales and stuff like that was like through the roof. They made over 100K in like sales and stuff like that just in that one weekend, and that was unprecedented. I never saw that before. So it was just like freaking trends, and I guess people got what's the word? Worn out,
Yeah.
fatigued. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been
Yeah.
crazy. It's been crazy. You never know what's gonna work, what doesn't work, in terms of marketing and what other people are feeling at the moment. But you have to try different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to like 2017,
All right.
when you're trying to be like a pin maker and you're trying to get some stuff out. Do you remember what your first pin was?
I think I do. Yeah. So when I mainly had Instagram because I followed a bunch of really cool artists that I really liked. A lot of poster artists, like Mondo artists and stuff like that. Some that would make artwork for albums and stuff like that. But I think it had to be around 2014, 2015. I started seeing a bunch of these artists releasing pins, and I was like, so this artist that I really like that normally puts out things that I can't afford because they're like $40 or plus, and I don't know where to put because I don't have the space. They're releasing something that's about an inch tall that's only $10, and I get to support this artist. It's like, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll buy this pin. So I'm trying to remember which specific artist it was. But one of the first ones that I remember getting was one from a brand called Arcade Days or Arcade Cool, and they're no longer around, but they were definitely one of the first pin brands that I followed, and it was a pin based off the movie Drive, so it's like the Drive jacket.
Mm-hmm.
It was either that one or there is this other pin by a brand called Negamitis that was an ET pin, so like the little bicycle flying in front of the moon. It was one of those, and then there's this, this other. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it was an original artist that did like poster work, and it was this like little wolf, and it started from there. That's where I started buying pins, like around 2015, and then eventually I started buying more and more, and until I became involved with it.
Yeah. So tell me, did you have like a creative background, or did you just have this idea, hey, I want to start making pins. How do I get into this and learn as you go? Did you have experience?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to get involved in something creative. When I was younger, I think it was like I wanted to be an animator, a comic book illustrator, and then eventually I wanted to get into filmmaking. But when I got to community college, they got rid of their film program right before I got there.
Lame.
It was pretty lame, and it's the same community college that George Lucas went to. So it's
Oh,
like,
come on.
Yeah, it's like, come on. So I was like, well, the other thing that interests me is like illustration and graphic design. So I got my associates in graphic design, and so I have a little bit of a background in just making illustrations on Photoshop. So I started off by making art prints. I got into stickers. So I did a bunch of stuff before I started making pins, but none of it was as successful as pins, like by far. I tried a bunch of different things. It was very discouraging. But when I found pins, I was like, okay, this is where I belong. This is where I fit into.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you think it had anything to do with just that it's like it's just a low like entry cost into supporting an artist, or for an artist to get started making a business?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. Like I said, I feel like a lot of other people feel the same thing when they follow an artist or they want to support an artist, and it's like it's only $10 and it's like a really cool thing. I don't have to commit to putting it on a wall. It's just I could put it on my hat, I could put it on my jacket. I could put it like on a pin board, and it's so easy, like to what's the word? It's you could do a lot of things with a pin, you know, whether just collecting or wearing it. And I think that was very appealing. And I think um, I just got a little lucky, and I got in a little at a time when there wasn't a ton of pin artists, and I think I just I found success in a time where there wasn't too much competition, and then I think I've just been in it for long enough that might be why I'm still around, you know.
That's pretty interesting. Real quick, just to piggyback off what you said. So, what keeps you going nowadays?
So what keeps me going is definitely seeing what my pin friends are up to, or my artist friends. You know, I love seeing what some of my buddies come up with. It's always very motivating. Some of my friends that I'm pretty close with, you know, Every Good Merch, MacGuffin Goods. Whenever they put out something that's like a really cool idea, it's like that kind of motivates me to try to come up with a really cool idea on my own. So yeah, just being inspired and seeing what other people are making, that definitely is a huge factor in what's keeping me going, you know?
Hell yeah. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that answer a lot. That's really cool. All right, going back to the first pin. I'm curious, did you have any hiccups actually like getting it made? Talking with the manufacturer? Did you go through a middleman? Just walk me through that process from idea to having it in hand.
Okay. So when I found out that there were some websites where you could just send your artwork in and talk to them about getting your pin made, I was like, cool, like, let's get some made. Let's get, like, 20, 30 of them made. And they're like, no, you can do that, but they're going to cost you like $6 a piece or $7 a piece. Like, you're going to want to do 100. And then at the time I was like, ooh, 100? So like I could do that, but $300 or however much it was at the time, $200 or $300, that's kind of a lot for me right now. And then I had a friend who would fund some of his projects through Kickstarter. So he told me about Kickstarter, and then he's like, yeah, there's just a bunch of artists on there that they like to fund their sticker projects or their clothing brand on there. And so he put me onto that, and I had run a sticker project on there that was pretty successful with a friend of mine. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the pin thing on here because there isn't a ton of Kickstarter projects on here that are pin related. So then the few that were on there, they were very successful. So I put up a couple of designs on there. They're these beetle designs. If you go on Kickstarter and look up beetle enamel pin project and look up the one by Victor Mares, which is me, it should pop up on there. But I had a couple designs on there, and I was like, okay, to make 100 of each of these, it's going to cost me roughly $600, give or take. So I had a goal of $800. So I threw it up there, and it was very successful. I think I made over $3,000, and I made variants of all the pins and stuff like that, and it was super successful. That's when I was like, okay, the pin thing, this is what I need to put my focus into. And I made a new Instagram. That's where I made the Ursa Major Supply Instagram. And by the way, if you don't know, Ursa Major is the Great Bear constellation. So that's why our mascot is a bear. So I started through Kickstarter, and then from there I've just been self-funded, and it was a little bit messy. There was a middleman that I was emailing, and then when I sent them my designs, I was like, cool, like I'm ready to go, like here are the designs. They just never responded to me, and I was like, huh. I reached out to them on Instagram. It's like, hey, I'm ready to go. Let's get these pins made, you know what I'm saying? Still no response. I was like, okay. So then I found another one at the time that was a Pin Game Strong, and they were super cool to work with. They gave me you're going to want to change this about your design because when they print it, it's not going to look the best. You might want to, do it at this size instead. They gave me a lot of advice, and it was super cool. So they got my pins made, and this was before I knew that people just went direct to manufacturer. This was just me Googling like custom enamel pins and just whatever popped up. So I went through Pen Game Strong, and they now go by Alchemy Merch. But they were super cool to work with, very easy. And yeah, they sent me my first box of pins, and it was just something special about that first box of pins you get. It's like it's pretty heavy. It's like there's usually like 3 layers of plastic on it, so it just makes like the anticipation that more like crazy when you open up the box, and it's like, wow, like I made these pins,
Yeah.
So that's my first pins right there, Kickstarter funded.
That's really cool. When you were talking about that, I went to Kickstarter, did a quick Google search, got the hot fingers, and I pulled it up. And
Nice.
this is something that's always fascinated me. I suffer from like the fear of like anxiety or failure, whatever you want to call it. So I never really took the plunge in like going for Kickstarter. Just because I was like, I don't want to put something out, put all this effort, and then, have it fall flat in my face, and then like be seen as like a loser. I've come a long way since
I know
since
that
the
feeling
beginning.
all too well, man.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do. It's a very real thing. So whenever I see people who not only like meet their goal, but like smash it. It's so freaking fascinating. But then you look closer and it's like, oh yeah, well that makes sense because you put a lot of time into like setting all this up, getting the graphics right, making sure you got all the pledge levels set up and stuff like that. Like there's a lot that goes into this. Like talk to me about like the strategy that you had putting all this together, and what do you think makes a successful Kickstarter campaign for pins?
Yeah, so I'll start out by saying I did that in 2017, and I'm not sure if any of the advice I would give about it is reflective to how it would be making a Kickstarter campaign today for enamel pins.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and just say, like, so there was a very successful campaign on there that I pretty much mimicked the style and the strategy that they had. I believe it was enamel pins of these, like, little geckos or some small reptile creature, and what they did was like they threw up their design, and then like they had a whole bunch of other designs like blacked out with like question marks. It's like unlocking at $700, unlocking at $900. So I realized, so people go on here and they back the goal, they back the highest tier that would give you all the pins, but you would only get those 8 pins if they all get unlocked, if that makes any sense. So they first threw up the Kickstarter with just 2 designs, right? And then the more successful the campaign was, the more options you would get. So I saw them do that, and I was like, okay, so people like to see the campaign hit stretch goals, because I have a feeling if I had no stretch goals, some people would go on there like, oh, that's cool. Looks like they met their goals, so good for them. Like I'm gonna move on. But if they go on there and be like, oh, there's some stretch goals that are almost like they're very close to becoming unlocked. Sure, I'll do the tier 4 pledge and get them to that place. And I think that's what really helped my Kickstarter. It was doing the stretch goals. I think that was definitely the most important part of that Kickstarter campaign.
That's fascinating. Stretch goals.
Yeah.
So it's like, cool project. I'm gonna back it, but like, what else do you have? Like, what else can you like put out? And like, so did you have everything designed, and you knew, for example, that the $3,000 stretch goal was going to be the black and glitter galactic beetle, or was there any kind of like strategy to that? Because it looks like that's the only one that has like glitter in it. So did they become more of like a premium pin, or like different colors and metal types and stuff like that?
Exactly, yeah. So it was only 2 different designs. So I made all the variants before I made the campaign. And I don't remember if I had them like hidden or if I showed them off. I probably did show them off actually, or and then it was like this one will be unlocked when this campaign has reached $900. This one will be unlocked when it reaches 1,200. You know, and I think a lot of people were like, "Ooh, I really want that glitter one," so I'm gonna pledge the $60 pledge and hope that it gets unlocked when it gets to that point. So, yeah, I think showing off those designs very early on, or saying like, if we reach this point, everyone gets a free sticker, that really helps drive pledges on Kickstarter. At least at the time, you know, I have looked recently, and there is a ton of enamel pin projects on there now. So I'm not sure how well this would work today, and that just what worked for me at the time. You know, I don't know what that would be like now. I have seen some artists that pretty much not all, but a lot of their pins are still funded through Kickstarter, and it's like, it makes sense to start on there. That's why it's like Kickstarter, but it's a little odd to see some artists that have like thousands of followers that still use Kickstarter, because they take a pretty big percentage of your sales too.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I would recommend it if you are up and coming and you have no funds, but it's not a website that I would use to fund like all of your projects, you know?
Yeah, for sure. No, that totally makes sense. Especially like when you're 2, 3, 4xing like your goal, like I think you're going to be left with a little bit of extra money to like help fund like maybe another pin or two.
Yep.
But yeah, just a quick search, and there's definitely like a lot of pin stuff, a lot of pin action on Kickstarter. It boggles my mind how there's a whole community, like Facebook groups, like dedicated to sharing like Kickstarters. Like I found a couple Discord servers that are like pin related, separate from the Pin Pals Discord, which you can join by becoming a Buy Me a Coffee member.
Nice plug.
But there's like channels, I think is what they're called, that are dedicated to just sharing your Kickstarter, and like just the amount of engagement, like the amount of people just like hanging out in these servers and like supporting one another is just still mind-boggling to me, because I mean, we're talking about pins, like and it's wild to think that there's just such an active, ongoing, growing community with pins.
Oh yeah, it's just, I keep wondering like when and if there's gonna be a peak to this pin thing. But every day I go on Instagram, and I look on my my For You page. It's like, oh, this is a great pin. Like, I've never even heard of this shop. Like, I've never seen any of my friends tag them. It's like, how have I never heard of them? And I feel like that happens a lot, you know? Like, every day there's like a new artist or a new shop that I've never heard of, that it's just hard to get recognized more so these days as a pin shop, I think. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, at 100%. Especially because a lot of people starting off don't have any kind of budget for marketing or anything like that, and to try and grow organically nowadays is pretty tough without like a pretty harshly consistent like posting schedule and content creating schedule. Like nowadays it's just videos and reels and trying to find like ways to be entertaining without feeling like dumb, and doing dances. But you know, to grow any business, you want to be putting out like value, like the cross between the two. So it's just tough nowadays to start on social media unless you have like some extra money and stuff like that for ads. But wow, Kickstarter, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a whole world of pins on there, man.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Where do I want to go from here? I'm really curious. So I was earlier today, I was making some pancakes, just flipping through your feed, just seeing like what talking points I can come up with. And I found your 3D pins to be pretty awesome. So how did you come up with the idea to kind of get into making 3D pins?
Okay, so Definitely, I would say my biggest inspiration for making 3D pins was PSA Press. They're a great pin brand, by the way. I nominate them to be on a episode of Pin Pals.
Okay. Oh, I
Um,
like that.
yeah, they were making all these really cool 3D pins. That was a lot of it was just like original art, and I was like, how did you make this xenomorph like 3D pin like? And I would talk to some of the guys, like, oh, I made that in whichever 3D modeling program. I was like, oh, okay, so like I have used 3D modeling software before, but I'm not great at it, and I haven't used it since I was in school. So I was like, maybe down the line I could hire someone to make some 3D stuff for me. But then there was a different pin artist, I don't exactly remember who, but I was asking them about their 3D pin. I was like, oh, all I did was just make highlights and gradients in Illustrator, and they pretty much understand. You just tell them how thick you want it to be. I was like, oh, so like you don't have to submit a 3D file? Like, no, like you not at all. Like you just tell them what you want it to look like, and usually manufacturers will work with you there. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I don't remember what my first 3D pin was. It was probably one of the Mario star or the Shine Sprite, because I wanted to start off with something that was a little bit more simple before I got too complex with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was literally just in Adobe Illustrator. I made like the shape, and then I used the gradient tool to like indicate which spots would be raised higher than the others, and I wrote a little graph on there too, and then I sent it to the manufacturer, and I explained to them, and like, we got it, yeah, like easy, and then sure enough, yeah, they nailed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one of my follow-up questions was going to be, do you have to know some sort of 3D modeling, have some sort of experience? But that sounds pretty cool.
Nope.
That sounds interesting. And have you had any issues with like how they've come out? Like, have you had to go maybe back and forth on a couple samples or stuff like that, or right from the get-go they were able to like produce it?
You know what? I think you just unlocked a memory here. I think the first time I tried to do a 3D pin was I made this little hamburger phone pin from Juno, and I wanted the top bun to look like a perfect like half spherical shape, like a hamburger bun, and it would open up and it would be the phone. And I think when they sent it back to me, it was slightly raised, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. But that was a mistake on my part. I don't think I explained exactly how spherical I wanted the top part to be, and it still was a great pin. It still looked great, but it just I think I didn't convey my vision properly. So I think after that, that's when I was doing the gradients. With that one, I just sent over the file and I was like, "Can you make the top part 3D?" I'm pretty sure that's the extent of what I told them. So yeah, after that, that's when I learned the gradient tool in Illustrator to send that over. Yeah. Was that I forgot what your question was.
Yeah, no, that pretty much answers it. It's just like a cool workaround to like not having to know that kind of stuff. That's pretty interesting. I've always wanted to try something like that myself. You know, I'd probably end up ordering one of your pins, taking pictures of it, and then showing to the manufacturer, I want something like this. Use you as an example or something.
I think I did that too. I think I was like, you see how this pin is? And I showed like a side profile. I was like, this is more or less what I want it to look like. And yeah, they figured it out. And a friend of mine, he just sketches in Photoshop or on his iPad, and he just says, "Can you make this 3D?" And like they just figure it out somehow. You know, it just with gradients. That's really the most important part.
Yeah, I'm seeing your banana bunch pin.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I made a few. The 3D ones are a lot of fun. For sure. Yeah, I made that banana one. But by far, the most popular one was the one ring pin from Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
when I was like figuring out how to do 3D stuff. That one, the process was a little bit different, but Adobe Illustrator has a 3D revolve tool. And then I was messing around with it one day, and then I was like, oh, like, it's cool. You can make some 3D shapes. And then I learned, I was like, I'm going to teach myself how to use this. And then I was on YouTube watching some tutorials. I was like, how to make a 3D ring. I was like, a 3D ring. And I think that's when, it hit me. I was like, what if I make a 3D pin of the Lord of the Rings pin, the one ring with the writing on it. And like, it was a very simple process. I think I had to do it a couple times, but it was just a cylinder shape that I just clicked 3D revolve, and it just turned it into a ring within Illustrator. So it's like not exactly a 3D file, but it just makes it look like it. And yeah, I ended up making that pin, and it's by far like the most popular pin I've ever made.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
This looks awesome. It's the thick 3D pin with like a high polish, like a gold finish, but it's also the I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. It's very intimidating to me. It's not that I have anything against it. It just seems like I'd have to like really dive into it in order to like really appreciate it. So whatever the writing is in the middle, that's glow in the dark, and that came out pretty sick.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was one that I had ready to go like pretty much when the pandemic started, and I held off on it for a little bit. I was like, I don't know how well this is going to do right now. And then I released it, and it sold out in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And then, there was comments like restock now. And it's like, and I put up a poll on my story. It's like, what if I do a pre-order? Then it was like a resounding yes, do pre-orders. So I was like, okay, and it was like a couple of days after that. It's like pre-orders are now open, and I had like another like 200 or 300 orders come in for those. It's like, I was like, wow, this is insane. People really like that pin,
Yeah, for sure. And I was looking over our notes. I just hit my mic stand. Okay. Okay, we're good. I was looking over my notes, and I saw that you're really popular with the Lord of the Rings fandom.
Yep.
Is that your bread and butter? Like every time you release like some Lord of the Rings stuff, it does pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Lord of the Rings was one of the first pop culture things that I hit, because at the time I was trying to do original stuff. But then I was like, I'm too much of a movie nerd, like a geek to like not do some pop culture stuff. So I started doing. I was like, there isn't a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff out here. Like there was a few things on Etsy, a couple of shops here and there had just some basic looking Lord of the Rings stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna do some, and then sure enough, it did really great. And ever since then, my Lord of the Rings stuff is definitely what does best in my shop, Big fan of those movies. They came out when I was in the 4th grade, and my teacher was reading the books to our class and stuff, so super influential to me. So anytime I do something Lord of the Rings related, it's like, this is just awesome that there's so many people out there that appreciate the Lord of the Rings as much as I do.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. I can relate to that, except with the turtles. There's the thing that stuck with my audience. So I just kind of like, okay, I can run with this. I can work with this for sure. How were you like putting up your? I'm trying to think like. Where were you putting out the word? Like, was it like through Instagram? Did you have like Facebook groups? Were you getting a lot of traction through like Etsy or somewhere outside? Like how, like, I guess this is like the marketing portion. Like, how are you getting the word out there?
Okay, so I don't believe I did any form of marketing for the first 3 or 4, like couple years maybe. It was all just through Instagram. Anyone will tell you that Instagram was a completely different place back in like 2018, 2019, before the algorithm started changing everything up. It was just, I would post something, and I would get a bunch of comments, a bunch of likes, a bunch of shares, and I would interact with people on there. Um, I didn't make a Twitter until like maybe last year, and then also made a TikTok last year, and that's going okay. I don't put a lot of time or energy into either of those. It's still pretty much just Instagram. Then I did have an Etsy that was just kind of like every once in a while I throw up one of my pins on there. But it wasn't until I listened to one of your episodes. I don't remember who your guest was. It might have been Cool Electric. Someone mentioned Etsy ads. I was like, I know I've seen Etsy ads before, but I've never like checked it out. I didn't know how well that would work. And someone mentioned like, oh yeah, I have like $10 a day on Etsy or something. I was like, huh. So I checked it out, and then and I threw up some more of my pin designs on Etsy. And ever since I started doing the Etsy ads, I probably get like a couple orders a day on Etsy. Where before I would get like one order on there like every couple weeks, because it wasn't anything I ever promoted. I have all my stuff up on my my website that I do through Shopify, but Etsy was just like if people are searching for it and they find it on there, that's cool, but it's not really something I'm going to put like time into. But when I heard that episode, I was like, so maybe Etsy does have, I should put some more energy into it. And yeah, I looked into the Etsy ads, and I think I started with like $5 a day. And then near the holidays, I moved it up to like $10 or $15 a day. And then sales have been pretty solid on Etsy, Whenever I'm not posting on Instagram, it's a good way to get some sales.
Hell yeah. Oh man, that is awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I pulled it up. Man, how are you not a star seller?
I think it said something about, because whenever I get patch orders, I ship those in a letter, and so I don't include the tracking. And I think it said all your orders must include a tracking number for you to be a star seller, something like that. I don't remember what it said.
Dude, I can help you with that.
Awesome.
It was the same thing for me, except with stickers. I would just put them in like a little envelope, and just every time I go to the post office, buy a couple more stamps and stuff like that. So I couldn't put any tracking. But there's a way for you to do that. Let me see.
Well, I would love to hear that, and I'm sure some listeners wouldn't mind knowing that either, because I didn't really know a workaround that.
Okay, here it is. It's a shipping profile. You got to make a shipping profile.
Okay.
And so the shipping carrier is USPS. The mail is first class. Wait a minute. No, that's my shipping profile. That's my that's my price and stuff like that. But there is a dimension.
If this could be a cool little quick video to throw up on the Instagram too later down the line, if you don't want to figure it out right now, I feel like
thought I could
really
figure it
helpful.
out right now. Yeah, it's like a combination in the weight, and can go figure that I just filled out orders before coming on the here, and I had it set up too. But there's just basically a way for you to print a label. Etsy prints out a label, and you just put it on the letter, and that counts as all right. So we'll follow it up. But by the time that this airs, I'm making a note. We'll have the tutorial up there for anyone, and it's like I don't know, the cost of a stamp, except you print out the label, and then that's how you're able to still become a star seller.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, we'll put a we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of like pin photography, because your stuff's been looking clean.
Thank you. The importance of pin photography is very high, in my opinion. I think if you have a solid, crisp photo of a pin that really shows off the detail, I think that just pushes people to make that purchase. What I will say to never post, it just in my opinion, I don't think you should ever post the file that you sent off to the manufacturer with the Pantones and the size. I don't think that looks appealing at all, like on an Instagram feed. Definitely either try to get a cool mock-up done, or just get a good photo. And all my photos are just my iPhone, I go in my backyard and I set up my pin somewhere, and I'll take a photo, then I'll carry it into Photoshop and adjust the levels, and sometimes I'll take a picture of me holding a pin just like that, and then I'll cut out the background in Photoshop and then blur the edges a little bit and throw up a background on there too. I have a lot of fun with the photo process, and I used to think that I should probably get like a really nice camera, but nowadays like phones have such great cameras on them already. So I definitely do all my work with just my iPhone, and a little bit of Photoshop, not too much, just adjusting the levels, making it look a little bit more crisp, and it's ready to go for Instagram.
Yeah, they look good.
Thank you.
They look really good, really clean, bold. Like they stand out, which is cool. And that seems to kind of be like the trend that I see a lot is not just a picture of the pin, but like cut out and then put with some like cool background that maybe like plays off of the pin. If it's like a Jurassic Park pin, like I don't know, like the doors to Jurassic Park behind it or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got to get you on the Pin Pals Discord server. Teach some photography lessons or something like that.
I would love to get on that.
Because I know, excuse me, I know that phone cameras have come a long way, but there's still so much like to it that I don't think people understand, like the basic principles of photography, like having like the natural light, having like being able to knowing how to change the exposure on the camera, and all those little things do play like a big part. I'm not going to say you need to know like the triangle, the ISO,
definitely
aperture,
helps, though.
but absolutely it does help. So it's pretty cool that you already had that background. But yeah, you're doing it, and it looks good.
Thank you. Yeah, like you said, natural lighting is a very important factor too. Whenever it's like golden hour in my backyard, it's like time to take some photos.
Nice. Let's see. So you mentioned you're also on Shopify?
Yeah, I started right off the bat with just making a Shopify account. I thought it was just it's super user friendly, and I made like the website that I have right now on there. It has not changed like too much since I first made my Shopify account. I'll update some graphics here and there, but it's I highly recommend the service. It's so good for beginners because there's different plans. I don't remember which plan I have. I think it's like one of the mid-tier ones, but not only that, there's a lot of apps that you could buy and add into your shop. Like there's a really cool one on there called I believe it's called Zipify, and what that one does, whenever you add something to your cart, there'll be a pop-up that you could assign to whichever product and say, would you also like to add this for a couple $dollars off? And that's just one of the examples of one of the many apps you could get on there. There's all sorts of stuff that you could just pay a little bit extra to add to your shop. Shopify is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of cool apps. I think we had a reward system for a while, and that was really cool. Just people racking up like hella points. I don't think I like did the point system right, so you ended up getting like a lot more points for like every $1 or something like that. Because I feel like when you do stuff like that at like a coffee shop or something like that, like you got to get like $200 worth of coffee, and then they'll give you like a free like large cup or something like that.
Yeah,
I think for me it was like for every like I don't know 10 pins or something like that, you were able to get like a free pin or I forget what it was, but I think I stopped that because it was hard to kind of keep track of all that stuff.
Yeah, you're like, enough.
I'm running out of material.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there, and like some of it could be a little intimidating to understand, but the basic Shopify is super easy to use. But
yeah, even
I like for some reason I could never wrap my head around like email marketing. I've tried it a few times with MailChimp or a couple different apps, but for whatever reason, like I just kept getting some issues. Like too many of these emails are not real emails, and they would just go to spam folders. So I kind of lost my patience a little bit with that. But if you have the patience, email marketing is definitely a thing you could do with Shopify. All sorts of stuff. It's all on there. You could do Facebook shopping on there. You could do there's another app on there where you could allow customers to buy something in payments. So I don't know if that's
Was it
necessarily works
Klarna or something?
Yeah, I don't know if that's like great for pins because they're only $10. But if there's artists out there that sell some clothing or some like art toys or stuff like that, it's a little on the higher end. That would be a high recommendation as well.
Yeah,
And payment plan.
They're just a very innovative company too. Their analytics have come a long way. I've been on the platform since I started, so to see that growth and stuff like that, but to also see my stock in Shopify go up has also been like a great indicator that they're a pretty good platform. They're going to be around for a bit.
Yep, and they have the live view, which I may or may not have an unhealthy obsession with. Whenever I release something new, I'm kind of on there being like, all right, let's see how this pin's gonna do. It's like oh no, there's only like 3 people on the website right now. Like a couple of minutes before the launch, this is gonna fail. It's always fun to just be on there, but sometimes it could be a little depressing. It's like there's only like a couple people on the shop right now, and I just released something new.
I feel that.
But when there's a hot item and there's like all these little dots like all over the country and in different countries lighting up, and then you see the carts being filled, it's pretty exciting.
I got to get on that more often. I think it would be kind of exciting to see the activity like during the holiday season, especially like that Black Friday weekend. That would be pretty wild.
Yep.
That would be we'd have to make a drinking game out of it. Anytime we get like 40 people on the site. Whoa.
Yeah. Shopify, you need to reach out to Eric here and support him, give him some sponsorship because I'm not the first one to endorse Shopify on here.
Dude, if that was the case, man, I would need to collect payment from Etsy, from Squarespace, from Wix, from all these. I should just start blurting out the names until they agree to sponsor the podcast.
Exactly.
Okay, pretty interesting stuff so far. I do have a couple other like miscellaneous questions. In terms of like a pin release schedule, like let's say you have an idea for a pin. Do you think about the timing of it all? Do you try and plan out like drops to be every Friday or a particular Friday, and then leading up to that, like 2 days beforehand, you throw a video. A day before, you'll do a picture. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely do. So right now you kind of caught me I've been taking a break. I haven't released anything like all month. I needed some time, to decompress and plan out for 2022. But when I'm on my normal schedule, I try to have a release every single Friday, whether it's just a patch or it's a pin or a shirt.
Wow, every Friday.
I try to, yeah.
What is it with you and those West Coast people? Y'all are crazy. I think.
Yeah, we're
is it?
Crazy
Data
out
Crew?
here.
Every
we're
Friday.
Crazy out here, man. Yeah. We love our Fridays out here. What can I say?
Hell yeah.
So what I will do is usually by Tuesday I'll probably throw up something on the stories like, yo, like we got something coming out this Friday, and it might be like a little teaser image or like a picture from whatever movie I'm going to be releasing a pin based on, and then I'll be like, you might want to stick around for this week's release. And then Wednesday I'll drop a pin reveal, and that Wednesday post is super vital in my opinion. I think that's where you have to show off the pin, and then in the description be like releasing this Friday. That's like the first thing I mentioned, so it doesn't get people to click away and go onto the website and like, oh, the pin's not here. Okay, guess it's sold out. You want to lead with releasing Friday and then give some details about the pin, and then just beyond that, post at a time when you're ready to engage with the people in the comments. Don't just post it and walk away from it. If you post it and engage with the comments, I think that really helps push your post to be seen by more people. So Wednesday I posted it like around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., around a time where like more people are on their phones or on Instagram. Thursday I'll post a countdown on my story. Like I always do countdowns too, either on Wednesdays or Thursdays, and then Friday I try to do the release at noon. I've experimented with different release dates, but I think I'm just very comfortable with my Fridays, at 12
Interesting.
12 p.m. Pacific. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just got the blueprint for Ursa Major Supply.
You got it.
No, that's
yeah.
wild. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm very transparent about the way I go about Ursa Major Supply. If anyone ever messages me and like, hey, I know that you guys hate answering these kinds of questions, but I'm always like, you know what? Like, I'm here to help. Like, if you have any questions, any concerns, any like, if you want some input, I'm always willing to respond. I try to be on Instagram like a lot to be able to respond to people, maybe a little too much, but I think it's important to be on there and respond to people. And I'm more than willing to respond to people that need some help or some insight,
Yeah, no, that's great. I think transparency is key to lots of things in life. Successful relationships, relationships with employers, with people, with yourself, and stuff like that. So that's really cool. But also, I just want to commend like a pretty sound, solid strategy. Like that's like I've been in marketing and doing this pin stuff for a while, and I love strategies. I'm like my day job. I'm a YouTube strategist, so I'm always looking at different strategies and analytics and numbers and stuff like that. And that's typically you're going to see your best results if you strategize and you plan accordingly and stuff like that. And I feel like that's just such a great blueprint. Like that's what I've been trying to do with a lot of my latest releases. Like pick the week that I'm going to release, and then that's when like I'll have my pictures like ready, photographed, and just if I'm working with the scheduler, I'll have all that stuff like already scheduled and automated and things like that. But I like how you're taking advantage of the countdown.
Yeah.
And like some of those other tools that are made to like grab like free engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Countdowns are super important. And I'll give you another little tidbit here, something that really helps with engagement. If you do stories where you ask a question or you have a poll and you're sharing people's responses, that will do really well as far as like reaching other people. So, man, I sound like disingenuous saying this, but sometimes like before I have like a release or something, I'll throw up like a little poll or a little questionnaire. It's like, what movies do you guys recommend? Like I check out this weekend, stuff like that. And that gets people engaged and like to send in responses. And it's usually fun stuff that I want to see people's responses to, But then when I have the momentum going on my story views, that's when I'll throw up like, by the way, like this Friday, here's a countdown. Whereas if I just post that, it will get much less views than it would if I didn't combine it with a high engaging story, Mm-hmm. So there's a big tip right there. Try doing more polls on your stories. Try doing more questions. It's fun to see people's responses. Like I'll try to like make posts like who's got predictions for Book of Boba Fett, wrong answers only, and like I'll just share like the funniest answers and stuff like that. And it's fun. It's fun for your followers. It's fun for you, and it's an all around great thing to just get more eyes on your page,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I think it's like really important. It's almost like kind of have to spend a little bit more time in the stories nowadays than like the posts, because it's just
that's what I do. I post a lot on my stories, and on the Instagram feed it'll just be like the pin reveal and then the pin release image. Sometimes I'll throw in like an extra post here and there, but I try to keep what I post on my feed very. I try to only post things that I feel like would be important or that would look cool on the feed. You know, I try to keep that a little. You know,
got to keep
definitely
it going.
focus on the stories. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep the page active.
Yeah.
As they say. Okay, I just remembered that I threw up a story to the Pin Pals feed before recording this. So I want to see if we have any questions. We don't have any questions.
It's all good.
All good. Yeah, it's okay. They'll come.
You know,
I have enough questions in front of me. What's up?
You know, I've done that before too. It's like, because I've done some podcasts with people. It's like, ask us some questions, and then like I realized it's like, why don't we ever get like we get a couple questions, and then I realized, you know, whenever I get something similar, I can't ever think of a question. Like I can't think of a quirky question or like a funny question. It's like I think just like when you're put on the spot, it's like I don't know. And then like you kind of go past the story and you forget about it.
Yeah.
So.
There were some funny ones that people submitted in before, like dream travel destination from those pins. What's your dream travel destination?
My dream travel destination, I think it'd be pretty dope to check out Hogwarts. You know, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I'm not sure if I want to get put into that hostile environment unless it's the Shire.
See, I was not expecting like an answer like that. I'm thinking like, I don't know.
You said dream.
I know.
I'm dreaming big here.
Thinking outside the box, Ursa Major. I like it.
That's what we do here.
All right, let's start wrapping this bad boy up because we're running pretty long. But there are a couple cool questions I want to ask.
Cool.
What's been like a valuable mistake that you've learned being a pin maker?
A valuable mistake. Trying to think here. This sounds like really bad, but I think I realized pretty early on that my followers were not interested in my original art. You know, like I tried releasing a few things. It's like, hey, this is a pin that isn't based on anything. This is a shirt with just a cool design. And the followers that I accumulated were just not interested in that. So I still like really want to not be like 100% pop culture. You know, like I want to be able to release some things that are unique and cool. But I think just like I said, the followers that I have are just they won't show up for that kind of stuff. So that's just if you are going to build a brand, make sure that you release things that your audience will like. Try not to steer too far from the direction that you are showing your audience that you're headed in, because if you do, and sometimes that's a risk that you can get good results out of. But I realize that I'm either going to have to like do a side project or something different to a different avenue to release some of my like original stuff through. So, yeah, not knowing my audience, I guess, would be a mistake that I've made.
Interesting. Yeah. But that also comes with time. It's not like you would have known like in the beginning, because you're trying to build that audience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That just, you know, so in a way, it is a mistake, but it's like a lesson learned. You learn along the way and stuff like that by trial and error. But that's cool that you're like self-aware and able to like realize like, okay, maybe this isn't working. Maybe we got to pivot, but trying to bring it back home, you know. That's,
yeah, you need to be very self-aware if you're gonna be running a brand. You know, that's definitely a skill that you need.
What inspires you?
So, what inspires me is definitely movies. I'm a big movie nerd. I love watching them. I love talking about them, and I love making fan art about movies, obviously. So for me, it's just seeing a good movie, being excited about, some of my favorite directors' up and coming movies. I'm inspired by shows. I'm inspired by animation. I'm inspired by a lot of stuff, and I think it's important to have a lot of inspiration if you're an artist. I just find it to be being a fan of a lot of different things and picking and choosing from. Like I love the way this artist does colors. I love the way this artist does their line work and making it your own.
I dig that. Okay, here's another question. This is pretty fun. On a day that Victor does not have to do any kind of pin work, what can we find Victor doing?
Well, I think it just goes with my last response. You could probably find me just chilling in my living room watching a movie with my girlfriend, and my cat, just chilling, hanging out, watching a weird A24 movie or a Pixar movie, anything.
I like that. Give me and the audience a recommendation, something you just saw recently that was like,
ooh, okay. A recent movie I just watched that is now streaming on HBO Max is The Last Duel. It's a Ridley Scott movie. It's a really cool movie that stars Adam Driver and Matt Damon, and it's a great movie that evokes an early Ridley Scott. If you're a fan of movies like Gladiator, then you'll really like it. And it's a bit more of he's a very popular director, but I feel like it's a movie that came out and not a lot of people talked about. That just went off the top of my head that I watched recently.
Okay, no, that's what I want. Give me something to do later. Really.
All right.
Cool. I guess I don't ask this enough, but in your own words, what do you think separates your pin shop from all the other ones?
Okay, so this is something that I think about quite a bit. Whenever I'm designing something, I try to give it my flavor. It's like, what would make people see this pin and be like, that's an Ursa Major Supply pin? And I think I nailed it down to, I feel like I have a specific art style that whenever you see any of my stuff, you could tell it was designed by me. But even something that I've started to do recently, which is incorporate other artists into my brand, is I try to tell them, like, I'm still like the art director in a sense, like I'll tell them like, yo, like I love your art style, but I would love you to design this for me, but can you add this, or can you make sure that the lines look like this? And I try to make sure that they all have this sort of like, what would you say, like a chibi art style, kind of like condensed. It's usually like,
I can see that. It's just like a lot of contrast, like bold, thick, like presence.
Yeah. That's a great description. Yeah. So just making sure that it has my own style to it. Sometimes like it's hard to do that with like some of the 3D pins and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I try really hard to make sure that whenever I'm designing something, it looks uniquely Ursa Major Supply. And even when I get other artists to design some stuff for me, I'll tell them the same thing,
Yeah, I always laugh at the Paddington.
Yep. Big Paddington heads over here.
That's pretty funny. It's funny. I used to work for. I don't know if I should say the name. I may have said it on the podcast already. I used to work with Viacom, and I was doing some like Nick Jr. YouTube stuff. And it was around the time that they started getting like Paddington content into their into the mix, and they wanted us to start uploading videos and whatnot. And it was like the worst performing relative to like Paw Patrol and like a lot of those other like bigger established
yeah,
names.
where are all the Paw Patrol pins at?
Gotta
start making them, man.
I'll let someone else. We'll give all these tips. We'll condense everything into like a cheat sheet, and then we'll give that to someone
That's an
else.
untapped gold mine right there. We need Paw Patrol stuff.
I think someone does. I feel like I've seen them out there, but with like a bit of a PG-13 twist to it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, back to like the branding and your style and what makes Ursa Major like Ursa Major. I think that's really evident, and I'm loving like the bold, thick lines in the blind bag series that you're doing too. Like that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
And just
yeah.
like that design, it's just clean, minimalistic, but it works. It
Yep,
really works.
minimal. Yeah, that's definitely something I try to go for. I know a lot of pin makers sort of pivoted into making like giant screen printed pins, but I'm still like making like my little guys. You know, I just love the look of the simplistic design approach.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But you can also, like, the dollar goes a lot further, and you can have a lot more fun by getting different variants and stuff like that. Whereas, like, the bigger ones, like, it's just like its own, like, different, like, machine. Well, it's its own beast or
Yeah.
whatever. But I also wanted to give a shout out to your Toy Story pins, your Toy Story 3D pins. I don't think it came up in conversation, but the Buzz Lightyear's foot and Woody's cowboy boot.
Yep. Those
So
are a lot
cool.
of fun. Thank you. Yeah, and then I just use a Sharpie to write the names on there.
I think I saw in one of the captions like, last chance to get Andy's autograph. Like,
Yep. I might have to remake those again. Those were a lot of fun.
those are fun. And if you it looks like if you remake the Animal Crossing, the leaf pin.
Oh yeah, I made a bunch of those. Yeah, and they're all gone now. But maybe I'll have to make some more soon.
We'll pick those up. But
Yeah.
all right, let's end this thing with some fun rapid fire this or that nonsense. All right. Soft enamel or hard enamel pins?
I'm a hard enamel guy. I like the shiny, like flat surface look that hard enamel pins have.
What's your favorite
I-
type? Sorry.
This is rapid fire. I was gonna go into it, but it's like that's not the time.
No, but it's like I say rapid fire and I say this or that, and I try to allude to like quick answers, but it always ends up turning into a conversation after every answer. So it's cool, man.
No, I was just gonna say like I do like soft enamel sometimes, depending on like what the design is. But
Yeah.
yeah,
What's your favorite type of metal to use?
my favorite type of metal. I'm not sure if I pay too much attention to the type of metal.
Or finish?
just-
Like
I think black nickel.
yeah.
Yep.
That's always like a nice go to. But I see you doing a lot of like polished finish pins. Like
the
some
polished
rose gold,
yep.
some gold.
Mhm.
Like those are clean.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dyed enamel pins or glow in the dark enamel pins?
I like the look of dyed enamel pins. I have a couple of a couple of soft enamel pins coming up actually, and they both implement the dyed look.
Okay. Yeah, just stay tuned for that. That'd be pretty
Yep.
cool. What is your favorite hashtag, pin-related hashtag to use?
Hashtag enamel pins. I feel like is one that I always throw in there.
Classic.
Yep.
Are you hashtag pin game strong or pin game proper?
I'm a hashtag pin game strong kind of guy.
I got to keep a tally. Every episode, I'm going to put like a whiteboard in the background and just check it off to see who's winning that battle. So far, pin game confused is creeping up and is becoming like an answer.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. It's an actual thing. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
There's a
Might have
hashtag
to start
for
using
it.
that one.
Where's your favorite place to rock a pin?
My favorite place to rock a pin is a denim jacket.
Timeless.
Yep.
Give me top three. Give me top three movies. Your top
three movies. So I'm gonna have to give a shout out to E.T., which is probably one of my first favorite movies that I ever watched. Pan's Labyrinth is a masterpiece. I love that movie. I'll do a fun one. School of Rock. I love School of Rock.
Hey, nice. Okay, that's a fun top three. All right, I like that for spur of the moment. I dig that. That'd be a good movie night.
Yep.
What's your favorite pizza topping?
I like a classic cheese pizza, man. Just a classic cheese slice, you know?
Okay,
Can't go wrong with that.
Being from the West Coast, what's your go-to burger spot?
My go-to burger spot. Should I just be basic? I'll say In-N-Out. Why not?
Oh.
There's one that's pretty nearby where I live, so we go there pretty often.
Yeah, I would do that too. The one time I was in California with my family, we were staying in San Francisco. We were by the Fisherman's Wharf, I think it was. There was like a little In-N-Out window. It was just like, oh,
nice.
Come on. It's like right there by the hotel. Like we're going there every day. Come on.
And I'm not an In-N-Out elitist, you know. I'm not like out here like, yo, like Shake Shack sucks, like all these other, like, no, it's In-N-Out or nothing. It's like I like In-N-Out. It's near where I live. It's cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap too, so I like it quite a bit.
I like burgers in general.
Yeah.
Out here on the East Coast, I love Shake Shack. Their shroom burgers are awesome, but you can't compare a shroom burger to like something from In-N-Out.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to ask this. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
I got to go with Michelangelo, the party dude, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Which is funny because I'm kind of like more of a chill, laid back kind of guy, and I don't like being around loud environments. But as a kid, I always really liked Michelangelo.
Yeah. Same here. And I got to ask for anyone watching this episode on YouTube, you can clearly see Victor's got a guitar amp, some guitars, and some pedals in the background. What kind of music do you play?
I play like some like punk stuff, some jazzy kind of stuff, just whatever I'm in the mood for. I don't know if I have a genre that I play a lot, but I love playing guitar, you know.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Who guitarists that you look up to? Anyone?
Guitarists that I look up to.
Or any bands do you find influence from?
Okay. I really like Turnstile. I like Mac DeMarco. I like all sorts of stuff, man. Putting me on the spot with a music one. I wasn't expecting any music questions. You got me there.
It's tough because there's so much, and things with like the Spotify Discover playlist or the Radar release. Like there's so much music always coming at you. So maybe I'll prepare other folks with that question in the future.
Yeah, I listen to all sorts of stuff, man. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. I would love to have like a pin jam.
That sounds fun.
Something like that.
A pin jam.
That'd be pretty cool. Pin festival, and it's just pin makers play like while selling pins. I don't know.
Right, that sounds awesome.
Right, and you know how the, certain bands have celebration shows, and like balloons will come down, like pins, like pins, like in little like vending capsules, like pop out from the ground. Ah!
You need a Pin Pals theme song.
I need a legit theme song.
Yeah.
What I
You
used,
need
like an original thing. I think what I use right now was pulled from some stock library. I don't know if it was like the YouTube audio library or what. I've been trying to like transpose it to the guitar. But
it's a cool little jam. I like it.
It's a cool
little saxophone.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to like loop it. I just picked up a looper last year, and I've just been nonstop. Like, you know who Mark Rebier is? Loop Daddy?
I love him a lot too.
Dude, I saw him in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
in September. That was a great time. But I picked up the same looper he had. I had an old version of the one that he was using, but I picked up the same exact one. So now I'm just like trying to loop like all of my favorite songs. So I'm working on the Pin Pals one.
Yeah,
but,
him and Reggie Watts are loop masters, man.
Loop
you got to get
poppies.
something like that would be pretty cool for little Pin Pals original.
You know, if Mark
theme.
was on Cameo and he did like loops via Cameo, I would easily find room in the budget for that.
That'd be really fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. Last question. I love ending the podcast on this wholesome question. Victor, what are the little things in life for you?
The little things in life, huh? Man, I'll give you a couple. One of my favorite things ever is waking up over here on the beautiful West Coast, and it's a rainy day. It's like it's gonna be a good day in the office because I have these windows right here and I can see my backyard. And there's nothing that's more chill than just sitting working in the office with the rain right outside your window. That and watching movies, man. Watching movies with my girlfriend in the living room, movie theater. But it's those little things in life that that I really appreciate.
Dude, Victor, you're a vibe. You are a vibe. That is pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
I think I work remotely for my day job, so I could easily I'll come over because it seems like a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah,
So-
man, come on over to the Ursa Major office here. Play some guitar. You can see my my toys I have back there.
Hell
We'll
yeah.
have some fun.
Yeah, it'd be a good time. Victor, you made it to the end of Pin Pals. Just want to thank you for your time and your expertise and being very transparent with everything. I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel like anyone listening or watching could probably say the same as well. So thank you so much. I want to give you the floor. If you have any shout outs, let people know kind of what you have coming up and where they can find you.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on. I love listening to this podcast, and it's such a great listen for people that want some advice or get some tips. And I feel like I've learned a lot already from your podcast, so I'm honored to be here. Thanks again. You can find me at Ursa Major Supply on everything, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but I'm still going to be taking a little bit of a break before I come back. I think I might come back with releases near the end of January or February. And I may or may not have a Ninja Turtles pin coming out pretty soon. You'll just have to wait and see what that is going to be, but that's coming soon. And if you want to talk movies, I'm also on Letterboxd, which is it's a fun app where it's like a social media app for movies. You go on there and rate movies, make lists, and I'm on there at Vicky Marmar if you want to find me on there and see what some of my recommendations are. I'm also on a movie podcast. We release like one episode every few months. It's not super active, but that's at Take Me to Your Theater if you want to hear us talk some movies, give some recommendations, and I think that's about it. And I do have a coupon code for your listeners.
Hit me with it.
So for anyone listening, if they want to go head on over to ursamajorsupply.com, they could go ahead and use code PINPALS at checkout for 25% off their order. So there's that.
That's a sweet discount. That's a quarter off your
Yep.
entire order. How about that? And I will say it is very well worth it to at least just visit the website and just look at all of Victor's pins. Very cool stuff. I'm sure you're gonna find something there that you like. And if you don't, think of someone and then pick up some pins as a gift, because pins as gifts are the coolest little thing. Let's say there's someone in your life who's really into Lord of the Rings, but maybe you're not. Bam, you got the gift. Damn, you're done. You don't have to worry about it. Out of the way. You're supporting an independent artist, so support when you can. Pretty much is what I'm saying. But
Awesome.
cool. Oh yeah, and Letterboxd. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna check that out. That seems pretty cool. And your podcast. I got a long drive coming up, so I'll check that out too. But Victor, again, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I'm sure we'll connect some more via the DMs, and who knows? I don't know where this podcast is gonna go, but we'd love to have you back on to talk some more pins, follow us some strategies, and maybe get that pin photography course up and running.
Yeah, I would love to come back. So yeah, I'm available anytime, man.
All right. Well, sounds good. Again, thank you so much for your time, and take it easy.
You too.